Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to record this video as an update on, I guess, kind of where I left off when I stopped recording videos for the channel. And as you guys know, the whole premise of the channel was essentially to share things that I'm currently learning, share my current curiosities, share things that I had previously learned, etc. And so when I had stopped recording, it's because I was coming into a fuller understanding of things that had been separated before, but things that have now begun to really make sense to me for me. And so when I guess it was all coming into play, I wanted to take some time to really think over these things and yeah, I guess just sit on them before I started sharing them, because now that I have them, I kind of think that, well, I'm convinced of them, which is why I want to share them. And so I hope to articulate in this video some of those ideas in essentially my current paradigm. Okay. So with that being said, I'll get into it. So within the world, it's pretty commonly understood. So we have these two categories. Okay. You have the unknown, which is essentially this realm of chaos, this realm that doesn't make sense to me. Whatever that thing is, it doesn't make sense to me. You feel this darkness around you. You feel maybe anxiety. You feel this unknown. Okay, whenever you go into the dark depths of the world, or the dark woods, or whatever, a new subject. Okay, you can relate it to whatever experience you want. An unknown place. This is where chaos is. Okay. For the places where we understand what things are going on, we would say these are the places of order. These are the places of common understood meaning. Okay. Maybe this is your specific job that you understand really well. You would say this is a place of order for me. I get what's going on here. Okay. Family dynamics, job, whatever. You understand these things. These are maybe some of the more simple things of what's going on in the world. So we have the chaos and we have the order. Being a person who's interested in numerous things, I've had to try and think about, how can I begin to pursue these different subjects of the world in a coherent way that I don't have to change my mindset for each of the subjects that I go into. I want a system of learning each subject that flows for each of them. I don't want to have this, oh, I'm not a math person, so this one's going to be really hard. I can't learn math, but hey, this literature, this symbolism, this stuff really makes sense for me, so I just want to dive more into here. No. What I want to do is I want to be able to have a mindset that's able to look at any subject and be able to approach it kind of in the same way, with the similar rules. And so with this kind of insight that I had, I want to share it with you guys, see if it makes sense to y'all. It makes sense a lot to me, and maybe it'll even be a little bit of a help. So within the category of order for the world, we essentially have two things that I've identified as patterns and story. So you could say the symbols and the meaning, right? So within language, every language has the alphabet or pictures of whatever type, or letters of whatever type, and it has grammar as well. So you have the symbols, and then you have the rules for which the symbols can be ordered to make sense of things. If the symbols are out of whack or not adhering to the rules of the grammar, it's not going to make sense for those people who understand that language. It's not going to make sense if you do things out of order. But if you play within the rules, people are going to be able to understand you. Thus, you'll have communication and shared learning, shared experiences. And so maybe this is more of the English major side of me coming out, but I think that everything can now be boiled down to language. And within language, you have, like I said, the patterns, and you have the meaning / the story. And so when you begin to see the world, I guess, separated within these two things under the order category, it becomes a lot easier to look at each subject, no matter what subject that you want to study, and say, okay, as long as I can learn the symbols and the grammar of this field, I will now know another language. And this is kind of when it goes into being able to understand how people work and how people operate. Because I had a certain intuition, I think it was like back my freshman year, I said, no, everything's connected to everything. And 4.5 years later, this is kind of the conclusion that I've come to. And as I hopefully parse this out, it's going to make more sense. So on a basic level, we understand, okay, over here in America, we would say the common language is English. Yes, there's a lot of other languages spoken, but we would say the common language is English. And like, let's just go to the other side of the world. Let's go to China. The common language over there is Chinese. Okay, we would say, all right, if neither of the groups of people learn the other's language, we would have a hard time communicating. Luckily for us in the world and all across the world, a lot of us have chosen to learn each other's languages. That's we can communicate, and this is good. One of the whole reasons why I've had an interest in language in general is for communication purposes and to be able to understand cultures better. Now, let's just go, I guess you could say, even a little bit broader than that. Meaning, if I can, let's say I have 5 friends, okay? Let's say each of the 5 friends they have different jobs in different fields, okay? We may relate with each other based off our shared experiences of whatever we do as a group of friends. But a lot of times you'll have it to where, like, let's say one's a doctor, let's say one's a lawyer, and let's say, one is a cook, and whatever other categories you want to use, whatever other jobs that you want to use. When we start getting specific on talking about our jobs, we may lose our friends in the details of talking about our job. I know that when a lot of people talk to finance people, a lot of the finance talk is over the head. You talk to like a scientist, they start going real deep. A lot of stuff goes over the head for the common person. You start talking to a doctor, a lawyer, etc. You get what I'm saying. Each field, each job speaks its own language, if you will. And so commonly, we would say people identify themselves as this or that type of person. We would say, okay, yes, I'm more of the creative type. I'm more of the math type, more the logic type. We tend to separate ourselves into these different categories, and for good reason. It simplifies things, and our brains like to have these categories and to make things simple. But for a person who wants to understand, I guess, numerous fields and understand like where people are coming from, understand the brain and how it works, and I guess what it means to just have like this human experience, for me, breaking things down into the symbols and then grammar, and understanding that everything within the order category plays within those fields, it now has provided a paradigm and a framework. I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, because that's the whole other side of it, which is the work, the playing it out of actually learning the symbols of the field and learning the grammar of the field. And then being coherent in that, because it's one thing to, for example, when you're studying foreign languages, to be able to identify like the early things, but if you're having to go then speak that language, well, that's a whole nother thing to go speak it versus maybe read some stuff on a paper, one paragraph or one sentence, and say, what does this sentence mean? Obviously there's levels to this game, but when you understand that each field has its patterns, which are symbols within the field, you can then seriously learn any subject that you want. As long as you can learn the grammar of that thing and the symbols of that thing, the patterns and the rules, every single time afterwards, you'll be able to understand the meaning of that thing or the story of that thing. And I would argue, the more of these things that you can put together, the more you can accurately talk about the human experience in general. Because one of the things that I've thought about a lot is, if perspective changes everything, which that was the thought that I had. I remember when I walked into church in like ninth grade, for whatever reason, that was a thought that came in my mind. Perspective changes everything. It's true. It's like the I think it's like the three blind mice who were like feeling the elephant, and they were all calling it different things based off what they were feeling. It's like, yeah, perspective changes everything depending on what you're feeling, what you're seeing, what your mindset is, like what your frame of reference is. And so the more frames of reference or fields of reference, languages that you can understand, the more accurately you're going to be able to hopefully talk about reality. And reality has been a subject that I've been interested in just in general, because as a lot of people do, we have our paradigms crushed whenever we go through hard times or hard things. And that's not a fun experience, to have reality crush before you and you question everything. And living in the day and age in which we do, I feel like a lot of people's paradigms are going to be crushed. And a lot of people are going to start asking the bigger questions that they haven't already. And for me, this comes down to wanting to be able to help people and wanting to be able to accurately talk about reality, because stuff can get really, really dark if people don't feel like they have a sense of a grip on reality itself. And then they begin to lose hope. And when you begin to lose hope, then you can act out really, really badly and do a lot of harm. And so for me, this has come from my own paradigms being crushed, hurt, and all those things. And it's come now to form a curiosity within me. And this curiosity has gone to go, okay, I don't just want to understand a field just because I want a job within a certain field. It has come because I want to understand how reality is laid out. And that's obviously a big thing. That's almost a stupidly arrogant thing to say. But I find no problem as long as it's coming from a place of like passion too, which now it has for me. It started with hurt, and then it formed a lot of like curiosities, but it's begun now to be in a place of like really, oh wow, what is this part? What is this part? Oh, what does this mean? What does this mean? So it's become like a very, very a thing that I like love doing. I love learning. But essentially, as long as it's coming from that spot, I think it's a fine and worthwhile thing to do, as long as you can remain grounded. But yeah, so that's essentially where I'm at. And I wanted to record this video sharing kind of this new outlook on, yeah, I guess it's kind of my new paradigm, because this understanding of everything is pattern, and all patterns within certain framework can lead to a story, which is meaning. I feel like that will help us better understand the world itself. And when we can understand the world itself and each other more, we can just like live in a better place. Because I think ultimately, because this also was where this comes from too. I think that if the stories, if the religious stories that we have, and for me, it's within the Christian framework of this, I should have no problem in terms of maybe being scared. I should have no fear of trying to pursue truth. Okay. I should actually be expectant and hopeful that all roads will lead back to the ultimate story that we have been talking about. And I say this because with my current view on Christianity, I actually think that you could say the other religions of the world have a version of the story in them, but I don't think they have the complete story. And because I do believe that, it also can allow me to listen and hear where they're coming from without completely just outright rejecting everything that you're saying, oh, no, it's all wrong. I'm the only one to write one over here. No, 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 no. I don't think that's the way that we should go about talking about these religious discussions, because I think ultimately those are the highest discussions you can have, because it's the story of the origin itself and the end itself, you know, and the study of the things in the middle, or the study of like the present times and the sciences and literature and etc. But the religious conversations are always the story of in the beginning and at the end. What do those things mean? How do we make sense of those things? And so my hope is that with this framework of studying these different fields, it will help us and it will help me to better be able to have conversations about that beginning and the end with those religious experiences, and hopefully allow, you know, all of us to begin to have those better discussions for those lofty and kind of weighty things. Because when we can have those and put those in the proper framework and context too, it also grounds us in reality. And so both play on each other. Studying this helps you understand these two, and understanding these two helps you understand this in the present time. So anyways, hopefully I articulated that decently well. Maybe it was a bunch, maybe it was all over the place. Again, I'm going to need to talk about this numerous times and in different ways to be able to be clear with it. But hopefully that example of saying, okay, we have chaos and order, and within order, we have the patterns, and we have the story, we have, you know, the symbols, we have the meaning. Hopefully that way of breaking down all knowledge in all categories within the order category, or all fields of study, I guess you could say, within the order category, is a very, very simple way of understanding things, and understanding that all symbols have to play within the rules of the game, which is the grammar of each field. Hopefully that is a simple way of understanding things. But with that being said, I'm sure that I'll be recording more videos to come. Not promising any particular schedule, but I will be recording more videos to come. So with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one.